Imagine this. You wake up one morning, check the news, and there it is again. Another corrupt politician caught in a scandal, yet somehow they remain in power. Another ruthless CEO laying off thousands while securing a massive bonus. Another influencer rising to fame, not through talent or hard work, but through deception, controversy, and manipulation. It doesn't seem fair, does it? You were told that hard work, honesty, and kindness would lead to success. That the good guys win, that justice prevails, that if you just keep your head down and do the right thing, rewards will come. But when you look around, reality tells a different story. The worst people, liars, cheaters, narcissists, seem to climb the highest. Meanwhile, the decent, ethical, hard-working people struggle to even get noticed. So what's going on? Is the system rigged? Is morality a weakness? Or is there something deeper, something most people don't want to admit, about the nature of power itself? To answer this, we have to break away from the comforting lies we've been told. We have to confront the brutal truth about why the world works the way it does. The first thing to understand is this: power is never given. It is taken. History, business, politics, every arena where influence and success are at stake is a battleground. And in this battleground, the rules are different from what most people believe. Success is not about fairness. It is not about who is the most deserving. It is about who is willing to do what others won't. Most people hesitate. They wait. They hope. They think that if they just keep following the rules, someone will eventually notice them, reward them, lift them up. But that's not how it works. Meanwhile, the ruthless do not hesitate. They take risks. They seize opportunities. They understand that most people are too afraid to fight for power, and so they step in and claim it for themselves. Think about the most powerful figures throughout history: emperors, kings, generals, corporate moguls. How many of them were kind, gentle, fair? And how many of them were cunning, ruthless, decisive? This is not an accident. It is a pattern, one that repeats itself over and over, because it is built into human nature. Power is not a fairy tale. It is a game. And like any game, it has winners and losers. The difference is, most people don't even realize they're playing. To understand why this happens, we need to go deeper, into the very nature of morality itself. Most people assume that morality is universal, that it is fixed, objective, written in stone. But what if morality is not some divine law? What if morality itself was created as a tool, a weapon, a means of control? This is where Nietzsche comes in. Nietzsche had a radical, almost dangerous idea. Morality is not absolute. It is not some eternal truth. Instead, morality is shaped by power struggles. It is designed to benefit those who create it. Throughout history, two types of moralities have emerged: master morality and slave morality. Master morality is the morality of the strong, the rulers, the conquerors, the ambitious. It values strength, power, courage, and independence. To those who embrace master morality, good means whatever makes them stronger. Success is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to be pursued unapologetically. Slave morality, on the other hand, is the morality of the weak, of those who do not have power and cannot take it. Instead of celebrating strength, slave morality glorifies submission, obedience, humility. It teaches that suffering is noble, that power is evil, that ambition is selfish. Why does this exist? Because those who lack power needed a way to survive in a world dominated by the strong. And so they created a system of values that shamed the powerful, that made ambition look like greed, that turned power itself into something sinister. Nietzsche saw slave morality as a trick, a psychological adaptation, designed not to empower people, but to keep them weak. Because if you convince people that power is bad, they will never try to take it. And here's the dangerous truth. Slave morality does not prevent the rise of the ruthless. It enables it. By teaching people to be passive, hesitant, obedient, it leaves power in the hands of those who do not care about morality at all. The decent hesitate, while the ruthless take control. The fair-minded wait for permission, while the bold step forward. And in a world where hesitation equals defeat, the outcome is inevitable. This is why so many powerful people seem to lack empathy, why they can lie, cheat, and manipulate their way to the top, because they are not burdened by the illusions of slave morality. But what does this mean for us? Should we abandon morality entirely? Should we embrace ruthlessness, deception, and power at all costs? Not necessarily, because Nietzsche did not say that master morality means cruelty, or that slave morality is always wrong. What he argued is that we must wake up. We must see morality for what it truly is, not a universal law, but a tool that can be used to control you or to liberate you. The worst people succeed because they understand this. They know that power is taken, not given. They know that the rules of morality were designed not to protect them, but to keep them in check. But what if you could learn to play the game without losing your soul? What if there was a way to rise to power without becoming one of the worst people? To do that, you must first understand the true nature of power, not as something evil, but as something neutral, something that can be wielded with intelligence, wisdom, and purpose. Because in the end, power itself is not the problem. The problem is that most people fear it, while the worst among us embrace it. And that is why they win. The harshest truth about power is this: it does not care about morality. It does not care about fairness, kindness, or who is the most deserving. Power simply flows to those who understand how to take it, and that often means it lands in the hands of people willing to do whatever it takes. Most people believe that morality is a force that protects them, that if they just act with integrity, the world will reward them. But look at history. Look at the present. The people who gain power are not necessarily the best, the kindest, or the most ethical. More often than not, they are the ones who understand one thing better than everyone else. Power rewards action, not hesitation. And what does morality teach? It teaches hesitation. It teaches people to second-guess themselves, to ask for permission, to wait, to hope that someone else will recognize their value and lift them up. And in that hesitation, power is lost. Meanwhile, those who see morality for what it truly is, a system designed to keep them in check, move forward, unburdened by doubt. They do not waste time questioning whether they should take power. They take it. And this is the brutal reality. The very people who claim to stand for justice, fairness, and morality often enable the rise of the ruthless. Because while they are waiting for fairness, the ruthless are already making their next move. While they are hoping that the system will correct itself, the power-hungry are reshaping the system in their own favor. While they hesitate, others act. And in a world where power is the ultimate currency, those who hesitate are left behind. This is why the worst people rise to power. They are willing to do what others refuse to do. But that doesn't mean that goodness is meaningless. It doesn't mean that morality has no value. It simply means that power comes first, and only once you have power can you dictate the rules. Because here's the mistake most people make. They assume that power and morality are the same thing. They believe that the world should be fair, that justice should be automatic, that people should get what they deserve. But the world does not operate on what should happen. It operates on what people make happen. From childhood, we are fed a lie, that good people are rewarded and bad people are punished. That life is like a children's storybook, where the villain always falls and the hero always wins. But step into reality, and you see the contradiction everywhere. The hardest workers are not the wealthiest. The most honest people are not in positions of leadership. The kindest hearts are often the most exploited, the most used, the most broken. And the reason is simple. The belief that life should be fair is a weakness. Because fairness is not something that naturally exists, it is something that must be enforced. And who enforces it? The people who have power. But if the people who believe in fairness are the same people who refuse to take power, who does that leave in charge? The ones who don't care about fairness at all. The ones who take control, who write the rules, who shape the world according to their own desires. This is the dangerous trap of believing in fairness. It makes people passive. It convinces them that if they simply do the right thing, justice will be handed to them. But while they wait for fairness, the powerful act. And the world does not wait for those who hesitate. This is where psychology comes in. Psychologists have studied the personality traits that predict success in competitive environments, and the results are always the same. High ambition. Successful individuals have an almost obsessive drive to achieve their goals. They do not hope for success. They demand it from the world and take the necessary steps to make it happen. Low sensitivity to fear. They are willing to take risks, even in the face of uncertainty. Fear does not paralyze them, it drives them. A reduced sense of empathy for obstacles in their path. This does not necessarily mean they lack empathy altogether, but rather that they are able to act decisively without being burdened by guilt or hesitation. This does not mean that every powerful person is a psychopath, but it does mean that many of them possess traits that allow them to act without the emotional constraints that hold others back. Because hesitation is a liability, and history has proven this time and time again. Look at the great conquerors, the political leaders, the business magnates. Were they the most kind-hearted individuals? Or were they the ones who had the will to act when others hesitated? From Julius Caesar to modern tech billionaires, the pattern is clear. Power is taken, not given. Those who succeed at the highest levels are the ones who understand this truth. But here's the paradox. Ruthlessness alone is not enough. Because power gained through force, deception, or cruelty is always unstable. It creates enemies. It builds resentment. It is fragile, always under attack from those who wish to see it fall. History is filled with rulers who believed they were invincible, until they weren't. The tyrants, the dictators, the manipulators, they may rise quickly, but they fall just as fast. Because the same traits that allow someone to climb to power are often the same traits that lead to their downfall. Power taken through force requires constant maintenance. It requires suppression, control, and endless paranoia. And this is where Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch comes in. Nietzsche did not believe in blind ruthlessness. He did not admire power for its own sake. What he believed in was self-overcoming, the ability to rise beyond fear, beyond hesitation, beyond the illusions that hold people back. The Übermensch is not just another tyrant. He does not seek power simply to dominate others. Instead, he seeks power to create, to shape his own destiny, to transcend the limitations placed upon him by society, by morality, by fear. While the weak hesitate, the Übermensch moves forward. While the masses wait for permission, the Übermensch writes his own rules. And unlike the tyrant, the Übermensch's power is not dependent on others. It is not built on deception, manipulation, or control. It is built on internal strength, a power that cannot be taken away because it does not rely on anyone else. And this is the ultimate lesson. The worst people often rise to power because they are willing to act when others hesitate. But ruthlessness alone is not enough. Because true power, the kind that lasts, is not about control. It is about creation. It is about building something greater than yourself. A movement, a legacy, a truth that outlives you. And the question is, Will you continue waiting for the world to be fair? Or will you wake up, take control, and shape it on your own terms? Power, once seized, is never secure. It is always under threat, by rivals, by betrayal, by the very forces that allowed it to rise in the first place. History is filled with stories of rulers, conquerors, and CEOs who climbed to the top with ruthless ambition, only to collapse in spectacular fashion. The same qualities that make someone powerful can also lead to their downfall. Because power, when built on manipulation, force, and deception, is like a house of cards. It may rise fast, but it is always unstable. The world remembers the stories of those who ruled through fear until the moment they were overthrown. The tyrants, the dictators, the corrupt business moguls. They thought they were untouchable. They thought they had mastered the game. Until the game mastered them. Because here is the paradox of power. If you rise to the top by stepping on others, you must live in constant fear of being stepped on yourself. If you manipulate others, you must always be wary of those who will manipulate you in return. If you rule through deception, you must always fear exposure. Power gained through ruthlessness is always fragile. It breeds enemies. It creates resentment. It invites betrayal. Think of the countless dictators throughout history who believed they were invincible, only to be taken down by their own people. Think of the business leaders who rose through corporate backstabbing, only to be brought down by scandals of their own making. Think of the political figures who built their careers on lies, only to have those same lies unravel and destroy them. It is not enough to take power. You must also know how to keep it. And keeping power requires something more than just ruthlessness. It requires wisdom. This is where the ruthless fail. They focus on winning the game, but they do not think about staying in the game. They believe that sheer dominance is enough, that by crushing their rivals and intimidating their subordinates, they will remain untouchable. But history proves otherwise. Because the most powerful people are not those who simply take power. They are the ones who build something greater than themselves. Something that does not collapse when they are gone. Something that is not constantly at risk of being destroyed from within. And this is where Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch becomes essential. Most people assume that power is about control, that to be powerful means to dominate others. But Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch goes beyond that. The Übermensch is not just another tyrant. He is not a manipulator, a liar, or a mere opportunist. He is a creator. He does not chase power for the sake of power. He seeks something higher, a purpose, a legacy, a truth that extends beyond himself. While the ruthless fight for temporary control, the Übermensch transcends the game entirely. Because true power is not about controlling others, it is about mastering oneself. The Übermensch is not a slave to his impulses. He is not ruled by fear. He does not need external validation. His power is internal. It comes from his own will, his own vision, his own ability to create meaning in a world that offers none. Most people live their lives reacting to the world around them. They conform, they obey, they follow the rules laid out for them. The Übermensch writes his own rules. He does not wait for permission. He does not beg for fairness. He does not expect the world to reward him. He takes responsibility for his own existence. He forges his own path. And this is the key difference between those who merely seize power and those who master it. The ruthless climb to power by exploiting the weak. The Übermensch rises above weakness altogether, his own and everyone else's. He does not see power as a tool for dominance. He sees it as a tool for creation. Because the greatest power is not the ability to control others. It is the ability to shape the world according to your own vision. The tyrants of history build empires that collapse the moment they fall. The Übermensch builds something that outlives him. Because while the ruthless play the short game, the Übermensch plays the infinite game. So the real question is not just how to rise to power. The real question is, what will you do once you have it? Will you become just another ruler, desperately clinging to control, constantly looking over your shoulder? Or will you transcend the game entirely and build something that lasts, something that does not rely on fear, deception, or destruction? Because in the end, the ruthless may rise faster, but only the wise stay on top. Most people think they only have two choices in life: be ruthless or be a victim. They look at the world, at history, at business, at politics, and they see a pattern. Power belongs to those who are willing to take it, by any means necessary. And so, many assume that if they want to succeed, they must become just as manipulative, just as deceptive, just as ruthless as those at the top. But this is a false choice. There is a third way. A way to succeed without selling your soul. A way to compete in a world that rewards power without becoming one of the worst people yourself. The key lies not in rejecting power, but in understanding it. Most people fear power. They see it as something corrupt, something that only bad people seek. And because of this fear, they refuse to engage with it. They hesitate. They step aside. They leave power in the hands of those who are not afraid of it. And so the cycle continues. Good people refuse to take power, and so power is taken by those who do not care about morality. The strong lead, while the kind-hearted follow. The ambitious seize opportunities, while the fair-minded wait for opportunities to be given to them. This is how the world is shaped, not by the most deserving, but by those who are willing to act. But acting does not mean abandoning morality. It does not mean becoming ruthless, cruel, or manipulative. It means understanding the rules of the game and then playing it on your own terms. To do this, you must let go of one of the greatest illusions of modern society, the belief that life should be fair. Fairness is not a natural law. It is not a guarantee. It is not something that exists on its own. Fairness only exists when it is enforced, when it is created by those with the power to make it real. The biggest mistake most people make is waiting for fairness. They assume that if they work hard, follow the rules, and do the right thing, they will be rewarded. But the world does not work that way. Because while they are waiting, others are acting. Others are seizing power, rewriting the rules, shaping the game in their favor. And by the time they realize what's happening, it's too late. Power is rarely given. It is almost always taken. This is not a reason to become ruthless. It is a reason to become strong. Because the only way to create fairness is to have the power to enforce it. And power only respects one thing: strength. Not physical strength, not cruelty, not mindless aggression, but the strength of will to shape your own reality. The most successful people in history did not sit around waiting for permission. They took action. They learned how the world worked. They mastered the psychology of power, and then they used that knowledge to build something greater than themselves. This is the difference between those who are victims of the game and those who master the game. The victims believe that playing fair is enough. The masters understand that fairness must be created. The victims hesitate. The masters act. The victims hope for justice. The masters create it. This is why Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch is so important. Because the Übermensch does not fall into the false choice of be weak or be ruthless. The Übermensch does not reject power out of fear. He embraces power on his own terms. He does not wait for fairness. He creates fairness. He does not follow the rules of those who came before him. He writes his own rules. Because here is the ultimate truth. Power is not evil. Power is a tool. It is a force that can be used for good or for destruction, for creation or for manipulation. The problem is not power itself. The problem is that the worst people seek it while the best people avoid it. And the only way to change that is to change yourself. To stop fearing power. To stop assuming that success is something that will be handed to you. To stop believing that simply being a good person is enough. It is not enough. The world does not reward goodness. It rewards those who act. And the ones who learn how to act with both strength and integrity, those are the ones who shape history. Because here is the final truth. Power is not something to fear. It is something to master. And once you understand this, once you stop waiting for fairness, once you start seeing power as something you can take rather than something you must submit to, then, and only then, do you truly become free.